In the previous lesson, we learned that nearly half of our children are failing in school. Now, let's find out why and what we need to do about it. I'd like to first begin by sharing a concern with you. And to share this concern, we first need to create a closer relationship between us, and I need your help to do that. Let's pretend we are joining our children together to form one single child who belongs to all of us. That means that as of right now, we all have a child together. I'm worried about our child. I'm afraid that we are not fulfilling our responsibility to equip our child with the skills they need to do well in school. In fact, our child has habits that make it harder, not just for them, but for everyone involved. Harder for us, the parents, the teachers and staff at our child's school, our child's classmates, and their classmates' families. Yeah, I mean everybody. The problem is, our child is not a student yet. Let me use the lapa I'm wearing to explain what I mean. This is a lapa. It is made from African fabric. Now, I have a lot of lapas, and I get a lot of compliments about my lapas, so it is conceivable that a woman would come up to me and say, "Mama Belanle, where'd you get that lapa?" "I sewed it." "You did? Wow! Will you please make me a lapa?" "Sure, bring me the fabric you want me to use to make your lapa." Now let me stop right here and say, don't send me any requests about making lapas. I don't like sewing like that. So, the sister and I come back together and she brings me this big old basket of cotton, sets it at my feet and says, "Mama Belanle, I can't thank you enough for agreeing to make my lapa. How long will it be till it's ready?" "You brought cotton." "I know. Here you go. When can you have it ready for me?" "Wait, there's a problem. You brought cotton." "I know that. When can I get my lapa?" "I asked for fabric. I need fabric to make a lapa for you. You brought me cotton. I can't do anything with this cotton." "But that lapa is made of cotton, Mama Belanle. I'm surprised you don't know that." You can see where this is going. You and I can clearly see that the problem is cotton must go through a process to be in a state called fabric that I, the seamstress, can then sew into a lapa. Now, if we were to take the cotton and call it child, and take the fabric and call it student, and take the seamstress and call her teacher, the same principles apply. The child has to go through a process to be in a state called student that a teacher can then take through a curriculum throughout the school year. Here's why that is. Learning is a cooperative relationship. It's not a control relationship where I can make you learn or you can make me learn. Teachers cannot make students learn. That's why the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. This saying acknowledges that for learning to take place, the student has to give the teacher two things before the teacher can teach the student anything. The first thing is attention, and the second thing is cooperation. Both must be given at the same time by the student for the teacher to be able to teach that student. That is the foundation of the teacher-student relationship, regardless of what is taught, and the age of the student doesn't matter. Take me, for example. I'm good and grown, and if I am to learn anything, even now, I must give attention and cooperation if I am to learn it. Let's say you are my teacher. Try to teach me something and I'm not paying attention to you. Learning will not happen. Try to teach me and I'm not cooperating with you. Again, learning is not going to happen. If I don't give you both attention and cooperation at the same time, learning is not going to occur. It takes time to develop enough self-discipline to give attention and cooperation when it is needed. Now, when is it needed in school? All day, every day. When a person can control themselves enough to give attention and cooperation on command, then and only then can we call that person a student. What we have now is a growing number of our children entering schools every year without those two basic skills in place. They are not teachable because they are not students yet. They are unprepared children who are unable to benefit from the schooling process. And guess what? The ones who do give attention and cooperation, the students, are unable to benefit fully because instruction time is hijacked because teachers are dealing with and documenting the actions of the unprepared children. This is a real problem. Now, what does all this hijacked instruction time do to a student's morale? You know, the ones who are giving attention and cooperation? How do you think the parents of the students feel knowing their child's instruction is constantly interrupted by our child? What about the teachers? They became teachers to teach, not to be referees or zookeepers, and certainly not to participate in depositing our child into the mouth of the school-to-prison pipeline with the documentation they are required to complete every time our child interrupts instruction with some defiant, disrespectful, or violent act. I can tell you, no one is happy with the way things are right now. I know we didn't intend to raise our child to be someone other people hate to see coming, but this is our reality right now. We are losing teachers at an unprecedented rate. Let's face it, people are not lining up to teach our child. It sounds bleak, but it's really not. All we have to do is get to a solution. Attention and cooperation are habits that are developed. They are self-discipline skills that must be developed to learn. The skills of attention and cooperation are best developed at home under the loving, watchful guidance of us, the parents. They're best developed at home because schools are not set up to do it. Schools are designed to take students, people who already have those two basic skills in place, to the next level by equipping them with additional skills like reading, math, writing, body movement, science, art, etc. No one can teach higher level skills unless the first two, attention and cooperation, are in place first. You cannot teach reading, then go back and teach attention and cooperation. So the question becomes, how do we develop those two habits in our child? The answer is through one simple thing: to teach our child to obey us, the parents. Obey means to do what one is told when told. Now, I'm not saying for you to teach your child to do what I say. I'm saying teach your child to do what you say when you say. Now, let's unpack this word obey. I know there are some who have a negative association with this word. Some think of obey as blindly doing what someone or everyone tells them to do without question or thinking, or like training dogs. Some people might think about adults who mentally, physically, and sexually abuse children and demand that children cooperate with their abuse and keep the secret. Some of us are thinking historically about American enslavement of African people and how our ancestors were whipped and tortured into unconditional obedience. None of these are what is meant here. Here, we're using the dictionary definition of obey: to do what one is told when one is told, to carry out a command, direction, or request when asked. Whose command, direction, or request are we talking about? Us, the parents. So let's break it down. Yes, we want our children to be independent thinkers. Yes, we want them to be able to speak up for themselves. Yes, we want them to think deeply and ask questions. And we need to teach them to do and be those things when it's appropriate and necessary. And there are times when we simply need them to do as they are told, like when we say, "Come here," or "Pick that up," or "Stop," or "Put it back." Let's look at our relationship with our children. We want our child to be open to receiving information and instruction from us and act on it in a timely manner. We want our child to trust our direction and redirection. We want our children to demonstrate self-management and to do what is needed in the moment. That begins with teaching them to obey us. Obedience is not a foreign concept. We are already playing obedience when we play Follow the Leader, Simon Says, Stoplight, and Freeze. And games are most fun when players obey the rules of the game. At home, it's called obedience, and everywhere else in the world, it's called following instructions. Now let's look at the classroom. The classroom is not a free play situation. The teacher has to teach a group of students specific concepts and skills, and for teaching to occur, the entire classroom has to give their attention and cooperation to their teacher so they all can learn the specific concepts and skills. When teaching, the teacher's directions are usually simple and they apply to the whole class. Line up, let's go, take your seat, let me have your attention, do your work, raise your hand if you have any questions, be quiet. Today's behavioral problems in classrooms stem from students not following these basic directions, and the chaos is prompting teachers to leave the profession. This is a huge problem that extends beyond school. There is nothing anyone can accomplish that doesn't require following instructions. I'm not just talking about the things a person has to do, like pay bills, file taxes, follow the process to apply for a loan, etc. I'm talking about even the things a person wants to do. Swim, play football, drive a car, earn money. Everything requires following instructions. The degree to which our children follow instructions is the degree to which our children will succeed, not just in school, but in life. Grades on a report card don't tell how intelligent a child is. A child who makes all A's is not necessarily smarter than a child who makes all F's. All report cards tell is how well a child paid attention and cooperated from one point in time to another. Just think about it. Open up your book to page 30. Read pages 30 and 31. Answer the questions on page 32. Turn it in. If you do that, you'll get an A. If you don't, you'll get an F. If you do an in-between job, you'll get a grade that reflects that level of in-between work. I know our heart. We don't want to be unreasonable parents, so we give our child chances. We tell them, then tell them again, then remind them, then give them more chances. We don't realize that we're actually training them to ignore us rather than obey us. Also, nobody else is going to do that with our child. Nobody else likes our child like that. The world is not going to stop and try to sweet talk and flatter and tickle our child to cooperate. The world is not going to offer our child cookies and tennis shoes and PlayStations to behave. There's no getting around it. We're going to have to do the work of training our child to do what we say when we say the first time. This is what I mean. When we have to tell our child 5 times to do something before they do it, our voice is 20% effective. If we have to say it 4 times, we're 25% effective. 3 times, 33% effective. 2 times is 50% effective. These are all failing percentages. We have to go for the first time, 100% effectiveness. I don't pretend to suggest we can achieve perfection, but we can certainly agree we have room for improvement. Now, what a priceless gift to give to our children, to equip them with habits that set them up for success instead of sending them into situations unequipped and even badly equipped with habits that make it harder for them to succeed. Studies show nearly 1 million children are misdiagnosed with learning and social disorders each year. And we at U&I-RISE believe some of these misdiagnoses are because we adults are not preparing our children to be students. It's understandable that we aren't aware of this responsibility because, again, this society doesn't have a process that teaches us the need for and how to prepare children to succeed in school. Not having a process has created the gap in our understanding as adults, a gap that this course, Healthy School-Home Connection, is designed to bridge. We will get into specifics about how to implement obedience at home at the end of this course, but first we're going to pivot. We're going to take a look at the big picture. Why are we doing all this school stuff anyway? In the next lesson, we are going to remember our larger purpose by viewing education. It's more than what we think. So we're in agreement about what education is and does. Then we're going to learn about the institutions that educate in society, including which one controls the others, when we look at who all educates. Next, we will learn about the school-home relationship so we can be clear about what school and home responsibilities are to one another to ensure our children thrive at school. The last part of this course is to view the animated presentation, Tapping Our Parental Power in a Nutshell. This is when we get into the specifics about how to implement obedience at home. The animated presentation goes into detail about the 3-part process that grows the habit of obedience. It lays it out clearly, but you add the most essential ingredient, the active ingredient, consistency. Let me tell you something about consistency. Being consistent is like going to the bathroom. It's something everyone has to do for themselves. As much as I want it for you, I can't do it for you, but our child is worth it. Be consistent for a month, and we all will see dramatic, extreme, positive, lasting, loving, generational change. Our child is worth a month's investment, and we are too. Before we continue to the next lesson, education, it's more than what we think, please complete the following affirmation of understanding to confirm your knowledge of what you've just learned. You must score 80 or above to advance to the next lesson.